So we wonder why youth have so many adult problems. They're exposed to so many adult constructs, and we all know that. They're just not protected. So this is another reason why there's not just one thing. And what the Boys and Girls Club does, what people in gang prevention work, anybody who's really serving youth in need, you have developmental competencies and resilience in the middle. That's the heart. These kids have to develop to be competent. And just like all of you go to like a school or go to training, you have to become competent in certain skills. Trauma and the things they go through are not going to be solved that first day. I worked with youth for 3 years, 5 years. It has to be a repetition of skills. You have to build skills. Everyone, like my dad and myself, wasn't taught how to control their anger, right? So we're all of the stuff, the risk factors, we're dealing with all that when they walk through the door. And most of that, the trauma, the poverty, the substance abuse, the lack of resources, low self-esteem, sometimes the mental illness, all of that, negative social norms, is what you have to pierce through. But like I said, what's beautiful is most of my kids have had all of that. And if you're with them and you love them and support them, and you provide the green part, you provide the protective factors. And as they start learning, as they start having supportive relationships, emotional development, support and mentoring, opportunities for building skills, efficacy, when they start having all those things, hope emerges. This young lady with her boxing, my father with boxing. When you're disciplined and you can see an opportunity and the doors have been opened for you to see an opportunity, you don't have time for the other stuff. You're on a track now. You're in a zone, right? And my father was so disciplined, an elite athlete, very disciplined in a zone. He didn't have time. I never forget, we were in Louisville, Kentucky. He said, man, most of my friends are dead, went to jail, died young of heart attacks. So it's either health issues why they died, they are incarcerated, or they were killed. And that was back, he was born in 1942. So there was still those issues. Also, if you just look at our American history, a lot of these rural and inner city areas were booming manufacturing hubs where the working class and the middle class had jobs. And I think MLK, we just celebrated the 50th year of his death. He was onto something with his Poor People's Campaign. That's what he wanted to do right before he died, a year before he died. And it's really poverty. It really boils down to a lot of poverty. That's where a lot of problems stem from, because the social norms change when you're poor. I had this one client, he is so funny. Well, not funny, but kind of funny. I debated with him for a year on why he shouldn't be a pimp. I thought this kid was a lost cause. I'm like, let's just call him Jimmy. Jimmy, you can't be a pimp, okay? My uncle's a pimp, he's making money, And so these norms of, it's like, how do I feed myself? What do I do? He went to the program, was struggle getting him in the program, but we exposed him to so many things. So when I went to that Boys and Girls website, I said, wow, the field trips, the workshops, the cognitive behavioral strategies, what's cognitive? They're like, what's that? What's cognitive behavioral? They don't even know what that is. And we explained it to them. You have faulty thoughts about your life, and we want to give you we want to show you why this doesn't mean that. Your past doesn't mean your future. But you have to give them a future. What is the future? Not give them, collaborate with them, right? It's called collaborative helping. How do you work with someone? When I first started, I would be telling kids what to do. It didn't work. I was like, not effective. You have to work with them and talk to them. First, what's going on? What do you want to do? And they always have great dreams that don't involve the streets, right? How do you show them the way to get to that and get them to understand that on their level? So you provide what the Boys and Girls Club is doing, what people who work with youth are doing. We're all kind of doing the same thing. You're providing those protective factors so they can build the resiliency. And what is resiliency? Overcoming challenges, but in a progressive way. You actually progress. You overcome. Some people overcome and just maintain. But when you're resilient, you're overcome and you learn from that.